All right, we will call to order the North Planning Commission meeting. Tonight is November 6th, 2024, and it is 6:01 p.m. First item on the agenda is a roll call. Brandon, if you could.
Mr. Dowpate,
Here.
Mr. Mahousen,
Here.
Mr. Sarah,
Here.
Mr. LePage,
Here.
Mr. Reed.
Here. All right. Next on the agenda is our minutes for consideration. This would be to submit the October 2nd, 2024 meeting minutes for approval.
I'll make a motion to approve the October 2nd meeting minutes.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Who did the second?
Yeah. We have a motion and a second, so Randy, if you could do a roll call, please.
Mr. Mahousen,
Yes.
Mr. LePage,
Abstain.
Mr. Dowpate,
Yes.
Mr. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Sarah.
Yes.
All right, next on tonight's agenda is our adjudication hearing. This is for application CUSE-24-7. This is at 1525 East Maple Street, North Canton, Ohio, 44720. This is a conditional use to permit a new wireless telecommunication facility. So right off the bat, anybody that would like to speak, just need to remind you to state your name and your address. So if there's anyone from the applicant that would speak at this time, please make your way to the podium.
Thank you. My name is Tom Bennett, work for Diamond Communications. Our address, something else, is 120 Mountain Avenue in Springfield, New Jersey. We are a nationwide company that builds towers. We're the largest private owner of towers behind the public companies such as American Tower and Crown. Crown is another tower company that the city has a deal with. We are a build-to-suit vendor for the various carriers, AT&T, T-Mobile. In this case, we are here tonight because we have an application from Verizon Wireless. So about a year and a half ago, Verizon Wireless had come to us and asked us to find a location for them up in the area of Walsh University. And we worked with, we tried to find property in that area, and actually we ended up on city property, where we are today at 1525 East Maple Avenue. We are on a lot that is owned by the city, that is off the parking lot from the ball fields in that area. There's many separate railroad type lots, long and thin, that come up from the street. We are on one that is next to the parking lot. Miranda, if we can just go to that overall site plan that has like the aerial. Yeah, there's one in color that, there we go. So, we are located up at the top of the property. The property itself, the lot that we're on is only trees. It is used for some overflow parking, probably not on purpose, for the Little League, where they come up and they park on that. We met back in May with the city to talk about access through the tree area up by the water facilities to the north. We're gonna have a breakthrough there with a conduit going. There's a little bit of a ditch that's heading towards the wetlands in the park. Cross that with a gate, and then we get to our compound. We're proposing a 150-foot tower with a 4-foot lightning rod in a 60 by 60 foot compound, and basically a chain link fence with barbed wire. So the access road itself is a standard gravel. The access to it is controlled by a gate with a lock to prevent people from overflow parking trying to get back to our site. Our site does have a parking space in front of it with a hammerhead turnaround, so that if there's ever a tech on there, he will not be taking up parking within the Little League area or in that vicinity. So with this site, and just to give you a brief history of it, back in January 29th, the ordinance 13/2024 was passed by the city, which authorized doing a lease with us with the current location that is shown. And then in February 19th of 2024, we signed the lease with the city, and we've been proceeding under that to get our approvals. So One thing about doing cell tower development, we like to say we're more regulated than putting in a Walmart. We have to get all our federal approvals before we can move forward. That included making sure that we were not in violation of any of the wetlands that are associated with the park. The ditch that is running along the edge of the tree line into the park, we had to make sure that was not a wetland, even because it's draining into a wetland. We also did fish and wildlife. You do have some bats in the trees that will mean that we can't construct during certain periods of the year, so we tend to avoid that. And we also had to consult with Native American tribes and make sure that they didn't have any issues where they would want to be there when we dig a foundation or do anything else as well. And there was non-response from Native American tribes in the area. So that led us to coming in front of you, and we were here 2 weeks ago for to get a variance from the setback. Lots are railroad type lots. We needed a setback from the height of the tower, 150 feet. The lot itself is only 140 foot wide. So we were granted that variance 2 weeks ago by the zoning hearing board. So now we're before you tonight for the conditional use. So with the conditional use, one thing that this is for, even though this is for one carrier, federal law requires that anybody who wants to dial 911 out of their phones can get access to the signal on that tower. So if you have an AT&T phone, you want to dial 911 from the park because there's an emergency, it works. You have T-Mobile, dial 911, it still works, even though it's at the start, different antennas on that tower. We do believe that the other carriers will locate here, but at this point, it's one single carrier to start with. The pole itself is a galvanized monopole. It's a single structure. It's not a lattice type structure, more of a single pole. It's galvanized out of factory in a gray color. It does come out fairly bright, and then it weathers down just like your highway traffic poles or light poles around ball fields. It weathers down to a natural gray. So Verizon's equipment will be located within the compound. It's a gravel compound inside our fenced area. The equipment used to be in the form of shelters. They were large, look like trailers. Now they're down to about the size of like a large fridge. There is going to be a generator on site for Verizon. It does use natural gas due to the proximity of sensitive areas of the wetlands. So it's not diesel, it's natural gas for that area. And there is a spark-free radius around that tank located within the compound. There is no odor or noise or other impediments to anybody associated with the compound. The site itself, once it is constructed, will only be visited about every 6 to 8 weeks by a technician. They use an SUV type vehicle. They would come up, unlock the gate, park within their parking area, maintain the equipment, and then leave. It's not a traffic flow issue. We do, as part of our lease, we have a access easement running up the paved parking lot. And because it's actually 2 lots, we actually have an access easement that goes up one side and comes out the other because you have a one-way traffic flow through that parking lot area. We have talked in discussions with the city previously. If the site is approved and we were to go under construction, at no time would we do it during any association with Little League season, and we would make sure that that was all clear. There was no staging of equipment or anything in that parking lot. Everything would be done on the lot that we leased. Grass area, basically. They're going to come up the grass with the cranes and then build in permanent access as part of the construction. So that's kind of the extent of what we're doing. I'm happy to go into any more detail about any issues with that or any questions that you may have concerning the facilities or Diamond or the coverage needs here as well.
Okay, thank you for the good synopsis. I guess at this time, Martin, would you like to speak regarding zoning and just the city's view on this?
Yeah, well, thank you, Chairman. So as mentioned, we did conduct a pre-application meeting where we reviewed the project and discussed each of the components of the projects. We had invited each of the departments within the city. As part of our noticing as well, I do want to point out a couple things that We did notice out to the minimum distance of 300 feet that's referenced in the zoning code for the wireless telecommunications. And so both meetings, the zoning board of appeals previously mentioned was also noticed to the 300 feet, as was our meeting tonight. And I did not receive any feedback from any of the property owners noticed as part of this, but given the proximity to the Canton Airport, we also sent a notice up to the airport. There were no comments from the airport on the project. There was some questions, which the applicant has agreed to provide the information, and that is the crane height and the construction dates, and they only wanted to be advised of those two pieces of information. I will say, I'd like to also point out is through the whole process here, the applicant has been very responsive and timely in providing the information requested as part of that. Let's see, staff is finding that the project does substantially comply with the zoning code and would like to make a recommendation for approval with the condition of the fence being black vinyl chain link. The other items that were incorporated or discussed as part of the pre-application meeting can be conducted as part of the permit reviews. I'll mention them for that as we'll be looking at them at the plan review side, and that was there was a request from the fire department to have a Knox box at the gate for all of the keys, and that's a pretty standard fire code requirement. The other one was the city engineer had asked that we used a native washed gravel, just given, so a city well in proximity to this, but that was, as I recall, those were the comments discussed as part of that. But for tonight's meeting, staff would request that we, should you find the approval, the direction you go in, we'd ask that you place a condition that fence would be in black vinyl, and that was discussed and agreed with the applicant as well.
Okay,
I'm happy to answer any questions.
thank you, Marty. All right, this time, questions, comments from commission members.
Just a couple of questions. You said this is a monopole, so
Yes.
it does not have guy wires based on the height?
It does not, and nor does it have a light either. As mentioned, we do have FAA approval on the height, and we also have FAA approval on the crane up to 200 feet to lift the pole in place. No guy wires, and it's not a lattice coming out, single
Sure.
pole.
Okay. And you said Verizon was the first one to
Yes.
have either an antenna or a dish on this tower?
Antennas, yes,
Okay. So then any other carriers you said could lease space on this tower?
that's our business, we hope they
Yeah.
do.
Okay. Because I just was curious, what's the maximum capacity of antennas on this tower? I've seen them loaded and really loaded and overloaded.
So right now, there's really only 4 active carriers nationwide, particularly in this market. Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, and Dish, which goes under the name Boost Mobile. So if things work out as we hope they do, we would get all 4 carriers. That tends on budget years and when they want to do stuff. But at this moment, it's just Verizon.
Okay. So it's pretty simple now to grow.
It is.
And I think this is, I can't really tell what the residential property is, but I think it's far enough that it's not a.
We're not within 500 feet.
Yeah, okay. That's it.
It's a 150-foot tower,
Yes.
right? So if it would come down, how does it collapse?
So we have an engineering letter, which is part of our package, and we work with Sabre to design it to bend. So just as a highway light pole, it's designed to have a bend point on it, that it will fall completely on this property, not just the property as a whole, all the city property, but between the lot lines. So actually, that bend point is the 50% mark, and I believe we have a letter in there indicating how it will fall. Basically bends like a straw rather than falling like a tree.
Any other questions? At this time, I would open it up to any members of the public for comment, questions. No? Okay. Okay, if there's no additional questions from our commission members, we would entertain a motion on this issue. And just a reminder, with motion, the condition would be black vinyl chain link fencing for,
I'll make a motion to approve with that condition.
okay, we have a motion to approve with the condition of the black vinyl chain link fence.
I'll second the motion.
We have a second. So just to be clear, this is for application CUSE-24-7, 1525 East Maple Street, North Canton, Ohio. Conditional use to permit a new wireless telecommunication facility with the condition of a black vinyl chain link fence as part of the project requirements. Randa, if you could do a roll call, please.
Mr. Sarah,
Yes.
Mr. Mahousen,
Yes.
Mr. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. LePage,
Yes.
Mr. Dapes.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the public hearing portion of this, and this would be the development review application, DPLN-24-125 East Maple Street, North Canton, Ohio. Development review for a conditional use permit application CUSE-24-7 to permit a new wireless telecommunication facility. So I don't think we need
You want to start
to.
over?
No, I don't think we need you to start over unless you have it memorized word for word and we could test you. But I think we covered all the items as well for the development review unless our commission members have additional questions that were outside of the conditional use. I don't believe so.
Yes, sir.
Okay, anyone from the public would like to speak on this issue? Comments, questions? No? Okay, well, if there's no more questions, we would entertain a motion for development review application number DPLN-24-12.
I'll move to approve application CUSE-24-7.
I'll second.
The second one, sorry,
Oh.
no, it's the second one, DPLN.
Oh, DPLM, gotcha, okay.
24-12.
Yes.
So we have a motion. I will.
Second.
Okay. Mr. Bill reads. We have a motion and a second. Bill beat me to it. So, Randa, if you could, roll call, please.
Mr. LePage,
Yes.
Mr. Dapes,
Yes.
Mr. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Mahousen,
Yes.
Mr. Sarah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time. Anything else before the commission meets?
Don't have anything.
I think that's it. So,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.